Welcome back to the Traits of a Champion podcast. We are so excited about episode number 3. Trace, let's go.
Bam. Here we go.
Here we go. We're talking about attitude today. We've got a lot to talk about, and we've been going through the traits of a champion for those of you for the first time listening, and we are going through today and talking about that third trait of a champion, which is attitude. Everybody's got to have a good attitude.
Got to have a good attitude. Well, and it's just a reminder that, remember this podcast is just trying to encourage, coach, help, push people to go for the win. Go for the win. Don't settle for just participation. Man, the world will reward average and reward participation. Don't settle for that. You don't want to just participate in your marriage and your family, your job, your life. Man, go for the win. And so we talked last week about you focus on what you want to win on, and being intently focused. Champions, Kevin, know how to be laser focused. They're not just have their eye on something. They are laser focused at it. Sam Walton didn't just think, well, I'll see if I can create the best discount department stores in the world. No, he was ridiculously laser focused on it. I know in marriage that my marriage is, I say all the time, marriage is not hard, but it is hard work.
Yeah, that's right.
And if I'll focus on, and I mean laser focused on having a great marriage, boy, my marriage is a whole lot better with my wife. So we talked about that. And then today we're going to talk and just encourage everybody and talk to you about your attitude. Because, listen, my good friend Jay Strack, Dr. Jay, such a great man, great leader. Dr. J says that your attitude will determine your altitude. That just as simply put, to be simple, it's just a can-do attitude. I always say, you can tell somebody's got a can-do attitude? They got a smile on their face.
Yeah.
You show me somebody that doesn't have a smile on their face, I don't know that they've got a can-do attitude.
Right.
And so we're going to talk today about attitude and just the simple ways of keeping a good attitude, but also what causes a bad attitude?
Golly, there's so much that life, throws our way. And if you think about life, I like to say this too, is that life is hard, and there's so many things that are thrown at our way. And especially as leaders, we are constantly spinning different plates. And if you're not careful, you can get overwhelmed by those things. And if you're not careful, life can cause you just to have a bad attitude. And so I'm excited about jumping into this because I think so many people are one good choice away from making and having a good attitude.
Yeah, because your attitude is the biggest thing you control. And all these 5 traits, there's 2 of them that you can control the most. You talk to great athletes, and they'll tell you, look, I can't. I can work on some things and get faster. I can work on some things and get stronger. You talk to great musicians, and they'll tell you, I can work on things and become a better instrumentalist or vocalist or whatever it is that I'm working on. But then, doggone it, there's sometimes just a thing called talent, that some people are just better than you are. You can't do anything about that. You can't control that. What you can control and what you can set your mind towards is to say, you know what? Effort and attitude are the 2 things in my control. That I don't need anybody else's permission. I don't need to be better than anybody else. I can, in my own mind, in my own life, I can make sure that those things are right, is the attitude and effort. And attitude is really as simple as just setting your mind, saying, I can either be negative or I can be positive. I can either say, maybe I can, or no, I can do this. I really can go for the win. I really can get the win.
But it's even, before we really get into some of the causes of a bad attitude, it's especially important to have a good attitude when life is hard. Wouldn't you say that?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's even more important. I think champions are able to, we talk about what causes, you get a lot of losses in life, and losses come in a lot of ways because life is tough, like you said. But there comes a point when you've got to make a choice to say, you know what, I'm going to get a win. I want to get a win. And it starts with, I want to fix my attitude. And even when I'm losing and even when I'm getting kicked around, I can still have a positive attitude. I can still put on a smile and say, you know what, that's okay. at the end of the day, it's okay. I still have a lot to be thankful for.
That's so good. And as we jump into the what causes a bad attitude, when you get into those things, there's so many things that can cause us to have bad attitudes. And again, life circumstances, tragedy can cause us to kind of get in a bad attitude or in a bad space of a bad attitude. And not only that, when I think about a bad attitude, it also can affect others around you. And I think if we're not careful, when we have bad attitudes, it kind of infects the people and the environment that we're around. It doesn't just affect ourselves; it affects other people as well.
Well, we learned that, Kevin. If you'll go back, and I think most people can relate to this. When we faced the pandemic, with COVID, it was unprecedented. We've never seen anything like that. Our world has never seen that. Everybody says it was just so weird. It was unusual. Yeah, it was. We'd never seen anything like this before. We've seen pandemics, but not a worldwide pandemic. And what that did in a lot of ways is that it showed, as a leader, I had a choice to make. I lead a fairly large organization, and it's one of those where there's a lot of employees here. There's a lot of people then that not even employees, but just people that come to our church. There's a lot of people that were looking to me to determine what's his attitude. Now, what you say and what you feel and what you're experiencing, all that is important. But the first thing they're watching is my attitude. And what I found out very quickly during COVID is I can literally set the temperature in the room. I can literally set the temperature in the room by my attitude, and understanding that if I'm negative, it's going to infect others. But if I'm positive, then it's also going to affect others. So I can infect them or I can affect them. And I just decided early on, and I think we have a large leadership team here. You're a part of that. We just determined you know what, we're going to keep our heads up, put a smile on our face, and determine, you know what, COVID is tough. Yeah, this is serious, and we didn't take it lightly, but we determined that, you know what, no, we're going to have a can-do winning attitude during this thing. And it was contagious, Kevin. People wanted to be around that. They wanted to come around and see how positive that was. So you're exactly right. It can a negative attitude is infectious. You can kill an organization with a bad attitude. How many teams have lost because of bad attitudes? But conversely, how many guys have you seen on a team that were average talent or weren't the superstar? But the coach wanted them on the team because they had a positive attitude, and that was something they wanted in their locker room. And how many stars have we seen? They just run out of town because they had a terrible attitude.
And it's so important for that, because you can, and it's important for a large organization. It's that important, but it's also important for a small organization, but also just the practical side of also in your home as the leader of your home. When you're leading your kids or things like that, your family, it's important to think like that as well. So your attitude is so important in the small things and in the big things that you're doing.
Yeah, your kids immediately look to you in good times and in bad. They're looking like, what's dad's? What are they're looking? What's he doing? What's he doing? And what are they doing? They're checking your attitude. They're checking to see how you're responding to what's going on, and it's gonna set their temperature gauge very strongly. Your spouse does that. I know my wife does. She is a great gauge for me. That sometimes her attitude helps me. Sometimes my attitude helps her. We're in a partnership in our marriage, but it's one of those that if you will choose to say, I can have a positive attitude, I can do that. That's within my own power. No one else controls my attitude but me. Well, but you don't know what people have done to me. It doesn't matter. No one else is in control of my attitude but me. I'm either going to put a smile on my face, have a can-do, upbeat, here we go, let's go win attitude, or I'm not. And nobody else is in charge of that, Kevin, but me.
John Maxwell says, and we all have read many of his books, and I
Great
recommend
guy.
his books and his leadership. He says your attitude can be your best friend or your worst enemy.
Yeah.
And it's the truth.
I
It
agree.
really
I agree
can.
with
It
that.
can be your best friend or your worst enemy. And so many people have hit, for lack of better terms, those leadership lids because of their bad attitude.
Yeah.
And so what causes bad
Well,
attitudes?
okay, so there are external things that are outside of my control that can affect my attitude. But again, those external things don't determine my attitude. I determine my attitude. But what I really want to talk about are the internal things, the things that are within me that can affect my attitude. So here's what I found out in studying champions, people who win a lot. I found out, and it doesn't matter what field they were in, I found out that people who have bad attitudes, and looking at all kinds of people, this is so true even biblically, especially biblically, you see this, that people who will not admit that they're wrong usually have bad attitudes.
Ooh, that's a
So
big one.
if you say, I'm never at fault, I'm never wrong, and all these things. And let me just say, if you're listening, thanks for tuning in again, and I want you to hear me say this to you. If you'll learn to admit you're wrong, and if you'll seek to confess and admit when you've blown it, and be able to stand in front of one person, a family, or thousands, and admit you're wrong, it's one of the most freeing things you'll ever do as a leader.
God,
It's
so
one of
good.
the most freeing things you'll ever do as a champion. Then the opposite of that, opposite side of the coin on that is, you sit back and say, it ain't my fault, it ain't my fault, nothing's my fault, not my fault, won't admit you're wrong. I'm going to tell you it will kill, steal, and stomp out a good attitude. You'll have a stinky attitude. People who will not admit they're wrong have an excuse for everything, stinky attitudes.
God, that's really, thought provoking from the standpoint of you do see so much in our culture, in organization, in people's marriages, all the different avenues. You see so many people that are just on the defense 24/7, and I think that's so important because it takes a great amount of humility to do that.
And a tremendous amount of confidence to do that.
In the same way, yeah.
Most people who won't admit they're wrong, it's because they're very insecure. And they don't want to be that vulnerable and say, I was wrong. I'm going to tell you something. You better throw that out the door when you're going to lead. If you're going to be a champion and you're going to lead your family, you're going to be a champion in your marriage, a champion in your home, in your business, whatever you want to do, you better throw that out the door because you're going to lose. You're going to make mistakes. You better own your mistakes. And when you do, it'll free you up and it'll fix your attitude. It'll fix it.
It almost like from what it sounds like, just talking about it, it almost seems like it frees you up and takes a burden off of you.
It does. Because what it does is it takes the pressure off of you having to be perfect. And let me just let you in on something. No one's perfect. You're not perfect. So your spouse doesn't expect you to be perfect. Your kids don't expect you to be perfect. Nobody knows. You're the only one that's setting an expectation that I have to be perfect. Therefore, I can never admit I'm wrong. Listen, that is absolutely the worst thing that you can do because it will kill your attitude because nobody can live to that standard. It'll free you up when you can just stand up and say, I blew it. I was wrong. Forgive me. Now let's move on.
That's good.
And that's what champions do.
That's really, really good. And I think obviously it can just play into so many different areas of our life of just saying, I heard a guy say this one time and on the kind of the avenue of marriage. And he said, there's two statements you should always say to your spouse, which is number one, I love you. That's the most important thing you always say to your spouse. But number two is I'm sorry. And just being able to look and say, hey, I'm sorry, I blew it. And a lot of people don't want to do that. And I think so many people are, like you said, just to get that better attitude and have a better attitude, sometimes you just got to say, you know what, I blew it.
Yeah.
And
I look forward to one of the things we're going to do in this podcast in the coming weeks in the future is that we're going to do a whole podcast on how to win, how to be a champion in your marriage. And we're going to bring in some great folks, experts in that. And so, because we all want to be great at our marriage. That's right. But it starts with, and I think even in marriage, especially in marriage, you've got to admit when you're wrong. Like you said, I love you and forgive me, I was wrong. That's the next thing that I think kills attitudes is a refusal to forgive. When you fail to admit you're wrong, that's one thing. But a lot of people are professional grudge holders. And I always just tell people, especially as a pastor, I'm so passionate about this because it's such a spiritual thing. It's such a cornerstone of our relationship with Christ, because He's forgiven us of so much more. So who am I not to forgive? That I tell people, when you don't forgive, what you're doing is you're allowing the person that you won't forgive control over your life. You're not hurting the person that you don't forgive. You're hurting you. And the first place that it's going to show that you're hurting when you won't forgive is your attitude. You're going to have a sour, bad attitude. And I just tell folks that forgiveness is a process. It's not an event. So hear me say that. A lot of people say, well, I got to forgive. It's just no, it's not an event. It's not like, all right, here it is, boom. It's a process. And it's a process of taking steps forward and steps back, and steps forward and steps back. But it's a process. But it's something that you have to do. Just like you've got to free yourself and free your attitude to admit when you're wrong, you've got to free yourself and free your attitude to forgive others, even of the worst, and remember, it's how bad did they hurt you? It doesn't matter. Your forgiveness is not for them, it's for you.
It's so good. I mean, the best example of that is just coming just recently off of what happened with Charlie Kirk, and we'll talk about that a little bit more at the end of this podcast. But to see what Erica Kirk did, standing up in front of literal millions of people and forgiving the young man that killed her husband, so powerful.
Unbelievably
but like
powerful.
you said, that's not for him, that's for her. And for her, watching her starting that process of forgiveness is unbelievable. One thing that came to mind that I want to just throw out there at you real quick, just because I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that are, Lord willing, listening to this podcast on a run right now, and they have bad attitudes because they're not needing to forgive someone, but they may have made a mistake down the road that they know caused them to have that really cost them, if you will. What would you say to the person that needs to just forgive themselves? Because that's important too. They say they're holding back, they're not moving forward, they're bitter, they've let this blunder that they've had in the past of their life really just kind of take over their life. What would you say is important for them?
Well, most of the time, unforgiveness and hurt is never just lingers. It has to be attached to somebody, and the majority of the time, it's attached and it's targeted to somebody else. But you're right. There's sometimes that we just need to forgive ourselves, and again, it's part of that, like we talked about, and admitting you were wrong. That's okay, man. We all make mistakes. We all fail. It's okay to take a loss and to admit it. But it's also understanding that I can forgive myself, even of the worst things that I've done in my life, and say, I need to let go of that. And if I can forgive others, I need to forgive myself. And I have to forgive others. Well, then I have to forgive myself. And then from the spiritual side point, you've been forgiven of so much more than we could ever even imagine forgiving others of. What our Lord has forgiven us of is unbelievable. I mean, it's absolute unbelievable. And he paid the ultimate price to forgive us. And so I would just challenge you and challenge the person who was thinking that to say, all right, what price are you willing to pay to forgive yourself? It's got to be the ultimate, and just say, you can forgive yourself, because your unforgiveness, no matter who it's directed to, is killing your attitude. Yeah. And your attitude will determine your altitude. Yeah. Period.
That's just sitting here listening to you talk, that's so important for so many people, whether they're in church, they're not in church, that forgiveness in general can really help you start soaring in life and winning in life. But we see so many things that cause bad attitudes.
Yeah, and just real quickly, I want to go through a couple more of these just real fast if I can. I think jealousy is a cause of bad attitude, Kevin, when we're jealous of what other people have or accomplish, and I deserve, I should have, and I always just tell people, we don't deserve anything. I don't deserve anything. I can get out there and work for things, but there's nothing given out there. Yeah. And you know what? If somebody has something better or something, having jealousy over that is is really an excuse to not go for the win yourself. I think. I mean, I know that's hard.
No, that's good.
But jealousy is really. I mean, come on. We champions move past that. That's something you have to move past. Another one that I think that I see so much, especially in our culture, especially on social media, Kevin, is that people who just naturally have critical spirits, they think it's their job to be critics. I was meeting with somebody the other day, and I don't know why I said it because I thought it was funny, but they totally didn't get it. But I just said, hey, guys, I looked at the guy and said, hey, Siskel and Ebert are dead. Quit being a critic. You think it's your job to critique it. You think it's, let's pull up a chair and grab some popcorn and critique the movie. Let's critique everything.
Yeah.
And people who critique everything, and I'm talking about being critical.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with evaluating things and looking, but they criticize. When you criticize everything from the restaurant to the way they serve to the choice of the restaurant to it just when you live your life being critical, you're going to have a stinky attitude. A champion, they evaluate things, but they don't allow it to affect their attitude by being critical of everything. We know critical people. I'm telling you what, I call them stinkers, Kevin. I run from stinkers.
Yeah. Because
they stink and they're going to get me all stinking.
Yeah.
So I try to run. I don't just avoid them. I run from them.
That's so true. So, okay, we've talked about some of the things that are causing bad attitudes, and we could chase a lot of rabbits there just with all the things. But what are some ways that you can now fix your bad attitude? So we all go through times where we have bad attitude, or it's kind of you have a decision to make to go from a bad attitude to a good attitude. How do you start fixing your attitude?
And you have external things that are out of your control. But again, no one else can control my attitude but me. But let's all admit it. You're right. We all have bad attitudes at times. We all have pity parties. That we don't want to admit, but we need to admit, and just they're there, deal with them. Well, I real fast, I have what I call, and I go into great detail in this, again, a shameless book plug, but I call them the 5 Ps. As a believer and a Christian, when my attitude stinks, the first thing I'm going to do, it's a red flag to me that I'm not praying enough.
Yeah.
And so I've got to call a timeout and pray. And you say, well, I don't believe in prayer. That's not my thing. Well, look, just take a time out and just be still and be quiet for a little while and think about what's going on with your attitude. For me, I would challenge you, if you're not into that, to say, just talk to God. Just try it. Just see what it does.
I can prove to you that it works from the standpoint of I've got a 3-year-old son who's your grandson, and
greatest ever.
He is right now. He's at the age where he's really trying to learn his emotions. I feel like, and he literally will be in my truck. We'll be driving down the road, and he'll be like, "Daddy, I'm sad. I'm sad." And I'll look at him and go, "No, you're not. You just got an icy. No, you're not sad." And then he'll look at me and he'll just turn his frown upside down and go, "Daddy, I'm happy." And so I use that as a silly example of saying, at the end of the day, what prayer, and when you get alone and just sit here and say, it really is a choice. Yeah. And my point is with my 3-year-old son is I tell him, hey, you're not sad. Just be still and be quiet in a moment and realize you really are happy.
Yeah. And choosing to say and just confessing to God what's affected your attitude, and then talking. So we have pray, and then I have what I call praise, which is just being thankful and saying, you have a bad attitude because of what you don't have or what or whatever. How about taking a look at what you do have?
That's right.
How about being thankful for what you do have? And man, sometimes life is tough, and sometimes it's a kick in the pants. And I know it sounds trite, it sounds so insensitive, but it could be worse. I mean, it really could. And so go ahead and find the it could be worse moment and say, okay, I'm thankful for this. I'm thankful for, and that will start fixing your attitude. Then I always like to tell folks to then go ahead and get some quick wins. If you can't get out of a bad attitude, you're in some losses, get some quick wins. Read a book, finish a project, go get a quick win, lose 5 pounds, right? Do something to feel better and to get a quick win. It's as simple as do something to put a smile on your face. That can be external or internal. It doesn't matter. But if you're in the rut of a bad attitude and the losses are coming, fix that. Say, all right, I'm going to go get some slam dunk wins.
That's right.
I know I can win at this. And go get it. Listen, the fix is on. Go get those quick wins to help your attitude get turned up. I want to remind folks of this, and I want to just do a quick thing. We're coming to an end, but I want to help folks to see this. If they'll go and just look in the mirror, okay, or pull up your phone and pull up your camera and hit reverse so you're looking at yourself in your phone. If it's like 90-something%, and by 90-something%, I think it's like 93% of faces. If we'll sit relaxed in just our normal relaxed state, we actually have a frown. It takes energy, it takes effort, and it takes a choice to put a smile on our face.
Yep.
And I think it's that simple with our attitude. Mm-hmm. Now, it is a process and it takes work, especially if you're in a habit of bad attitudes, especially if you're going through some very difficult times. But if you'll take time and pray, be thankful, praise, practice just putting on a smile, practice saying positive things, practice encouraging people, perform, get some quick wins, and then ultimately understand the perception. You got to go to 10,000 feet and say, and in the big picture, I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
In the big picture, I've got a lot to be thankful for. I've got a lot to be blessed for, and prayer helps me get to 10,000 feet. Being thankful helps me get to 10,000 feet, and then from that, I got to get some quick wins. And I'm going to tell you one of the quickest ways to get quick wins, and is to try to put a smile on someone else's face.
Yeah,
that helps me more than anything else. I'll send out a text. I'll seek somebody. I'll seek out a total stranger and just give them a compliment and say thank you, or say a kind, encouraging word. And if I'll help somebody else's day get better, I find out it gets my day better.
That's right. And I think, just to caveat that just a little bit, is that I think a bad attitude is a red flag in my life that I am being extremely selfish. Yeah. And I think when we get our focus on other people and realize that our life was meant not to be served, but to serve. Yeah. And that's what we were created to do, especially as Christians. But even that, we were created to serve other people. And that helps getting our eyes off of ourselves. Yeah. Well, cause us to not be so focused on us, but getting to that, when you say that 10,000 foot view, getting that to that good perspective in life, that it's not all about me. And when I get to that 10,000 foot view, I see so much more, that I'm here for my wife, I'm here for my kids, I'm here for my employees. One of the greatest leaders that I've ever met he told me this, and I thought this was really, really good. He said, I went to work, and one of my core values of my corporation was that I went to work not for myself, but to make my employees better and put them in a position to win. And I think about that. What a great perspective. I'm not there for me, I'm there for them. What a great
if you could just encourage other people, it'll fix your attitude. So just remember, folks, your attitude determines your altitude. How high you're going to go in your marriage, your family, your everything else. Man, get that attitude fixed. You are in control of your attitude, and you can get that fixed. All right, you ready to train? You ready to go? You ready to switch?
I'm ready, man. We don't talk about this, it would be a mistake from the standpoint. It's the biggest thing going on in our country, but I also would be real honest and say that it's also probably the biggest thing going on in the world right now. The assassination of Charlie Kirk, and coming off the memorial of that, which was unbelievably powerful. They say over 100 million people streamed that event. We're hoping for 100 million that stream this podcast, but
I'll take even a small fraction.
right. But man, what a powerful event! Watched the entire thing front to back, and it was so powerful.
Yeah, I did not realize the influence that Charlie Kirk had worldwide, and what I love, talking about attitude and talking about what we have as Christians. What the world saw as a sad memorial funeral Erica Kirk made sure and turned around into a celebration of life. And that was a choice she made. Was she sad? Was people sad? Man, I was sad watching it. But to celebrate what an incredible life he lived, but more importantly, to celebrate what he has internally is unbelievable. And I think that goes along with our attitudes of saying, man, it's just a choice. And she chose, and I'm going to tell you what, that lady is a class act.
And I would say there's so many famous people out there. Like there's the Swifties, there's the Ariana Grande, there's all these famous women. If you're going to tell your daughter to follow a young lady and to imitate follow Erica Kirk. I mean, she is amazing.
That's a standard you lift up.
Yeah. I mean, she is just amazing. And I agree with you. I think Charlie Kirk was extremely influential across the country. He's extremely influential in young people. He's very influential in my life, just from the standpoint of my age group, millennials, and very, very influential. I think the biggest question that all people, when they look at what happened with Charlie Kirk, they look at what happened with his life and now what Erica Kirk has done, is I think they're asking this one question. They're asking, what am I living for? And I know that's a simple question, but it's a deep question too, is because he made such an impact. And I think about being a champion as we wrap this thing up and land this plane, is I think about, at the end of the day, a champion wakes up every day with a good attitude and living out their purpose to live for more than themselves and more in this life.
Well, and that's Charlie Kirk was, whether you agreed with his politics or you didn't agree with his politics, he was a champion. What he did, he was the best at. He was brilliant. He was very well-spoken, very well thought out, able to articulate. And was he harsh? Let me tell you something. Sometimes truth is harsh. And people go, well, he was mean, he was harsh. No, he just believed what he believed, and he told you what he believed. But at the end of the day, he wasn't harsh because he was willing to hug your neck. And not only that, he was willing to allow you to present your side.
Yeah.
If he was harsh, he wouldn't allow you to present your side.
Right.
And I just admire somebody that believed with such strong conviction, but also believed with such strong conviction that you have a right to your beliefs, and we can get together and discuss it, and even get maybe not heated, but a little bit heated and animated about our beliefs, and then walk away and say, it's okay, let's agree to disagree. And I think he did that as well as anybody in the world. And then to be killed for it is just the absolute epitome of evil. And where our world and our culture and society at, it's concerning, it's scary to see there. But I hope people understand that he was wanted to bring conservatism back to your age group and younger, but he also wanted to bring back two very important things that for a while was very, wasn't cool, and that is being a good husband and a good dad. That should be at the top of your list. That you need to win and be a champion, and that's the passion of this podcast. Is to be a champion in all of these things. And Charlie Kirk made it cool and said, it's okay to be a champion in your marriage. It's okay to be a champion in your parenting. And then, of course, ultimately his message of Christ and the hope that we have in Jesus Christ. And I would just close and just say to our folks tuning in, thank you. We're honored that you would even give us the time, and please tell your friends about us. And we've committed on here, and we're being honest with you. We're not going to be super preachy. We're two preachers. We try not to be super preachy, but it would be an absolute sham on my part for me not to look at you and say, I'm telling you, Jesus Christ is the answer.
That's right.
He's our hope for this life and for eternity. He changed my life. He changed Kevin's life. He wants to change your life. And I just double dog dare you to give him a shot. Just give him a shot. That'll be the greatest win of your life and your eternity. Just give Jesus a shot. I promise you. He loves you. He's not mad at you. He loves you. He died on a cross for you, and he wants to have a relationship with you. If you'll just take a step and you'll just reach out, I promise you, it will change your absolute life and eternity. And that's what I love about Charlie Kirk, is that was his mission. Kevin and I will just admit to you, that's our mission. That we believe it is that important for our life and for eternity. And we want you to win at your marriage and your work and your careers and your hobbies and everything else, and put a smile and be a champion. But we want you to know the only way you're really going to win, and the greatest win of all, is to be at peace with God through Jesus Christ.
That's so good and so true, man. Hey, go be a champion this week. Go live for something greater than yourself. Go be great.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Traits of a Champion podcast, helping you pursue the wins in life. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to hit subscribe. You can also follow along with us on Facebook, Instagram, or watch our episodes on YouTube.